So I don't know if you can hear that roar, but that is the honeybees. They're making a bunch of noise right now. I started to go through the flow hive, and as I'm going through, the bees are starting to talk. I couldn't find the queen just yet, so I'm imagining that she's down in the lower deep, but you can see how all of this is covered and completely covered with wax. That is the honey. This frame is extremely heavy. The bees did amazing from last year. So I'm going to go ahead and take this frame and put it back. I'm just searching around to see how much more they have to do. You can see right there, it's all honey. It's completely filled. They have some tunnels, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to go ahead and put this frame back and then keep going through the hive. I have a couple other frames from earlier that I need to put away. I didn't see the queen at all, but this was good practice nonetheless. This is the moment of truth when I have to put everything back together and the bees get really upset. I have a couple of frames left out that I was looking at, so I'll go ahead and push them back into the spot. You can see how the bees are all keeping themselves attached. This hive has a lot of bees, which is great. Our numbers are doing amazing. I'm super excited to see what's going to look like down below. You can see all the bees moving around right now. They're not the happiest. I apologize. However, I needed to separate the frames so I could check and see how everything's doing. So far I have not spotted the queen, but we'll see in just a minute. Alright, so I added some smoke. The bees are not as happy, but we're going to go ahead and start working on the bottom and see what yields in the bottom super. I can't wait to see if the queen's there or not, but we're going to take a look. First things first, I got to get my hive tool out of my hand. There we go. Alright. You can see the smoke worked a little bit. Now they're all starting to come back up. You can see them all gathering there at the entrance. Lots of pollen, which is great. And they're all fanning out the queen's pheromone, trying to tell everybody where their hive is. You can see my smoker is smoking. Everything's good to go with that. Kind of adds a little bit of smoke into the air while I do this inspection, which is nice. Helps calm down the situation just a little. Alright, here we go. So I'm going to take a look at each of these frames and see how the bees are doing. Hopefully we'll get a glimpse of the queen. That would be nice. It feels like this bottom box is a lot lighter. And it is. Look at that. All these frames are almost empty. So this box is going to be flipped just like the other box because the top box is almost full and the bottom box is almost empty. If you hear that loud sound in the background every once in a while, that is the neighborhood peacock. He's just hanging around. It's springtime. Spring for the turkeys, spring for the peacocks. You can see all the bees right there. I don't see any eggs down here yet, but we might spot the queen. We'll see. There we go. There's one frame. Let's see what this yields. This should be awesome. Sometimes the queen is hidden around the middle of the frames. She'll be sitting there in the brood nest. Sometimes she moves around a lot. It just depends on this queen. I'm not quite sure. I've only had her since last fall and seen her a couple of times. But this frame as well is completely empty. You can see there's not much to it. Just empty, which is good. They're filling it up slowly but surely. Okay, now we're going to go on to the third frame. So these flow hives, this one is an 8 frame. So this is a little bit smaller, a little bit lighter of a hive, which is great. Okay, here we go. Now we're coming down towards the middle of the frames. This is the third frame in. We'll take a look, see if we can find the queen anywhere. I really hope to spot her. She's unmarked. It'd be nice to see how she's doing in here. try to see where she's at. So we're getting closer. Okay, here comes the 4th frame. After the cold weather's over, in about a week or so, I'm gonna take another look and see how the bees are doing and start cleaning up these frames. I'll get off all the old wax and make sure that they're nice and clean, so when I do inspections, I don't have anything tearing apart. I don't have any chance of hurting any of the bees or the queen. But that'll be later on. I like to keep my frames as clean as possible. That way the bees have an easier time for themselves. This is the brood nest here. She is definitely laying down here. You do see some eggs. I'll show you. Right there is the brood nest. So, kind of hard to see, but as soon as the bees move, you'll end up seeing some capped brood. Over the top, right where my finger is, there's some capped brood. Yep, those are all capped. And then I did notice up at the top of the frames from the top hive that there is a drone cell, which is amazing. So they're going to start making drones soon, which means they'll be taking mating flights when they swarm and create a new queen. So this is pretty cool. This is one of the frames. If you can see, there's a huge gap right there. Well, this actually turns out to be a foundationless frame. So there's no foundation in here. The bees created this foundation all by themselves. They have a little area that they didn't fill, but they love it, they enjoy it, and it looks like it suits them well. Yeah, they're doing really good with this. It's pretty interesting. Still haven't found the queen though. This is the brood nest right there. You see a little bit of the, trying to make the focus a little bit clear, you can see a little bit of the brood nest right there where my finger is. You can see it's capped. That's nice. And then also the bees are doing the waggle dance, so they're telling everybody else where all the good nectar is. Again, I still haven't found the queen, but she is definitely laying in both the bottom and the top, which is great. So these frames look good. She's doing amazing. So far, so good. So what's kind of the pits is when you don't find the queen, you just have to hope for the best next time that whenever you do an inspection in 7 to 10 days that you see eggs. If you see fresh eggs, it means she's been there within the last 2 or 3 days. Otherwise, then you know you have a problem. So I haven't been able to find her yet. After putting everything back together, I'm just going to keep waiting it out and see if I can find her next time. And then I'll get to show you what the Flow Hive queen looks like.